Welcome back to Life with the Sloans.
What up? What up?
I'm so happy that you could join us for another episode. Now, really quick, before we get into this amazing episode, hit the subscribe button and don't forget to share this with your friends. Hit the subscribe button. All right, so today what we're going to talk about is...
So this title is questions that we've been asked during marriage.
Yeah, it's not the title of this episode, but anyways. But we're definitely going to go over some questions we've been asked. So, you want to go first?
Yeah, I think the most difficult question that people have asked me was, how did you know you were ready to get married?
That's a good question. So how did you know?
Wow, she going to put me on the spot? I was supposed to ask you the question.
Always.
Oh, all right. So,
I got my all black on today. Don't try me. Go ahead.
See the shirt. You know what it is.
You know what's going on.
I think in my situation, what I've basically indicated to people is that you don't really know that you're ready to be married until you know. It shouldn't be like if you have questions or concerns, then maybe there's certain things that you haven't crossed that bridge on. For me, I asked, my process was a little bit different. I had asked God, when I first met Deshawn, to make it clear to me. I didn't know what that necessarily meant at the time, but I wanted it to be able to resonate with me so that I would know and I wouldn't have any questions. And I think when we finally made the decision, we were dating about 3 years in.
2.5 or 3, something like that.
No, we got engaged.
Something like that.
We got engaged, not when we got married.
I don't think we were dating 3 years because I met you at the end of, it's probably like 2.5. Go ahead.
As I said, we got engaged at 3 years. Okay. And
let's make that clear. Why did we get engaged at 3 years? I'm not recommending this to people, but why?
Oh, you tell them.
Because we were in school. Hello. Yeah, we were in school. That is definitely why.
Real story.
Anyways.
Real story.
Fine, go ahead. Tell the story.
No, I didn't tell the story. You go ahead.
Tell your story.
We're gonna stick to the questions at hand.
Okay.
So, same question for you. How did you know? How did you know you was ready to get married?
I wouldn't say I knew I was ready to get married. I would say that I knew who I wanted to get married to. I think timing is great. I think people don't always choose the right times to embark on things, but knowing the who is what's important, whether it is starting a time before you should start or whether it's starting a time later on. And that's a matter of opinion, but that's just my opinion. Because people get divorced like people change draws these days. So some of that's because they're not married to the who. Because you're definitely going to have some issues. I mean, it doesn't matter if you are married to the who or not.
Yeah, I think issues are inevitable.
Yeah.
But knowing that the partner that you have is not, being unfaithful in different regards, whether it has to do with keeping the marriage together or whether it has to do with you guys both being on the same team. At the end of the day, there's, I don't think unfaithfulness is just cheating on somebody. I think it's...
Well, we'll get back to that.
Yeah.
Stay with
the
question.
Yeah, question at hand.
Question is, how did you know? And I said I didn't particularly know. I knew the who, not the when. Your turn.
So the next question, I think, which is even more important, was...
Wait. I'm going to say this. So I knew this, and this is not for everyone, but I have a very close relationship with my father. He is not only my father, but he is also my spiritual father. And before I even met a husband or was thinking about a husband or anything, God told me personally that whoever my husband was, that my dad would be in agreement with it. So even though I wasn't sure about the time and things like that, I definitely was sure about the who for myself, and my dad was in agreement with the who. And I knew that was, for me, that was a way of how God was speaking to me. So that's not for everyone, because I know some people don't have relationships like that with their parent or whatever. So yeah, that's my little spill. Your turn.
All right. So the next question was, why did you guys wait so long to have kids?
Okay, I'll go since you went first the last time.
Sounds good.
I've always wanted to wait long before I had kids.
Bruh.
I did not want kids right away because I knew there were certain things I wanted to have accomplished, and there were certain times I wanted just for myself. And so therefore I did not want to have kids right away, because I knew once we embarked on having kids that most of my time was going to end up going with them if I truly wanted to be the mother in my head that I was going to be.
Most
of the time.
The vast majority.
Yeah, a lot of time.
The vast majority.
Kids require time, and I'm happy that we waited 6 years before we started having kids, because I was ready to give my time to them and just really craft those cute little beings we get. Go ahead, your turn.
Yeah, I think for me, statistically, I looked at a lot of the fact that there was a lot of divorces that happened in the first 3 or 4 years of marriage.
Very true.
And even just
almost gonna happen too. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, we already went through. Yeah, we already talked about that, but
that's another episode.
That's a whole nother episode.
Yeah.
But not making light of divorce, the trauma that comes with that is pretty significant across many generations, and I just didn't want to open myself up to the possibility that I could affect other people, and we not be together forever. So I think about year 4 we kind of started having a turn in our relationship where we wasn't arguing as much, and I think by the time year 6 when we had our first, I think that was definitely a changing point for both of us.
Yeah, it's not even about arguing. It's about learning how to quickly resolve after an argument. I mean, because normal people don't always agree. What you looking at the side apple?
Yeah, boy.
No, but normal couples don't always agree. If you're always agreeing, I kind of question you a little bit. Somebody in there is, But anyway, so nah, for real. So you need to be able to disagree if that's what you're going to do, but come to a resolution. That's maturity. That's what maturity in relationship comes with, tools. And so let's talk about that. So that's another question. Like, people want to know, should they get married before having counseling? What do you think?
I think it's a personal decision. I highly recommend it. I mean, I had personally 4 rounds of counseling. I had 2 that were separate. Silence your mouth. I had 2 that were separate.
Woo, it's a whole session right there. Well, go ahead.
And we had couples sessions where we were basically broken up.
Right.
We were not broken up. We were apart from each other.
Yeah. In the sessions.
In the sessions. And then we came back together. And they gave us specific tools, to kind of work through different things. And I think any good marriage counselor gives you tools across all fronts. It's not just, sexually. It's not just physically. It's also emotionally, dealing with, baggage that comes with, growing up and being an individual. And then also spiritually as well. And understanding that there's different things that you're bringing into the relationship that you may not be aware of, but are generational. Kind of like we were talking about with divorce. I mean, that is something that if you are part of a family that has a big history of that, that is a serious concern, because certain things they might want to contribute when it concerns their 2 cents, if I could use that term, that might not be in agreement with what you're trying to build. So what about you?
What about me for what?
For the question, yes.
What question? I'm just joking with you. No. So my thoughts on that is, when people get married, they should come down the aisle with baggage. Literal baggage with labels, because that's really how we do come down the aisle. So that counseling will help to lighten. Look. The counseling will help to lighten the load. No.